there is evidence now that is emerging that this was all coordinated. The planning for this happened even before George Floyd was killed. The top terrorism cop, the deputy commissioner for intelligence and counterterrorism, his name is John Miller. He detailed his office's analysis and investigation into why New York City protests had become so violent and damaging. He said, number one, before the protests began, organizers of certain anarchist groups set out to raise bail money and people who would be responsible for raising bail money. They set out to recruit medics and medical teams with gear to deploy in anticipation of violent interactions with police. And once the protests started, he continued, the groups used a complex network of bicycle scouts to direct rioters to locations where police officers were not present. I'm still quoting. And they developed a complex network of bicycle scouts to move ahead of demonstrators in different directions of where the police were and where the police were not, for purposes of being able to direct groups from a larger group to places where they could commit acts of vandalism, including the torching of cars, police cars, Molotov cocktails, where the officers would not be. We have much more on that with Lara Logan, but I'm telling you right now, this is endgame. This is the deep state. This is Antifa and their allies in the deep state. It is those in the State Department, intelligence community, the FBI, all of those people that were uncovered during the investigations here on Russia and the investigations of Congress and the investigations in the Ukraine. It's all the same people, and they are in an end game. They know that they're toast. They've been exposed. Now, their idea was if we could just blame everything on Donald Trump and say that he's a Russian spy and blame him for doing everything that we were doing, we can create enough chaos to shape the world closer to our heart's desire. Well, unfortunately, when you try to kill Caesar, you better kill him, because if he survives, he's coming for you. Well, he's coming for the deep state, and they know it. So in a weird sense, they know that we know, and we know that they know that we know, you know? So their goal is no November. Their goal is you've got to stop Trump. You've got to change society. And it's kill or be killed. It's kill or go to jail. It's riots or go to prison for what you've done. These are caged animals. The ones in the deep state, they're in a corner. And when an animal is in a corner, they are unpredictable, and they will do anything to get out of that corner. That's what's happening right now. And they know that they have a very short period of time. If November comes and Donald Trump is reelected, they know it will be exposed and it will be over. They've got to distract. They've got to make sure that anything that is coming out of congressional investigation is so small compared to what everybody is talking about. Do you notice nobody's talking about coronavirus anymore? You know, I got to tell you something. Either there's going to be a lot of dead Antifa members, protesters, looters, or we were lied to about how bad the coronavirus is. Have you noticed that the states that were saying you couldn't go to church, you couldn't even go and visit your family, they don't seem to have a problem with the rioters. Andrew Cuomo said yesterday that what was happening in New York was out of control, and maybe he would just have to send Bill de Blasio packing. Oh, so who's the dictator now? You would displace, that was his words, displace Bill de Blasio. Okay. So he would make the decisions for New York over the elected mayor of New York. I'm fine. I mean, you guys go ahead and eat yourselves on that. But de Blasio didn't take that laying down. He decided to get serious last night in New York. And so there are some new rules in New York that I would like to pass on, and I think were great. De Blasio has said from here on out, no more than 10 looters per store. They must remain 6 feet apart from one another when possible. But when it comes to the police, they should stay maybe just like a stone's throw away from the police. They're also not allowed to meet in any churches. And the science on the masks, is really unclear. We don't know. So while the New York City mayor's office appreciates how many rioters are wearing masks, they're not sure if everybody needs to, because they're not sure if it's necessary. Also, in honor of George Floyd and, those rioters that are trying to flatten the curve. That's all they're trying to do is flatten the curve. He wants you to know that they're going to suspend that law, that if you are caught committing crime and you're wearing a mask, that there's extra penalties for that. They're taking away that mask thing because coronavirus is just so darn important to really all of those Democrats and those Democratic states that were threatening to arrest the people that would not riot, but went to the Capitol stairs to say, this is madness, I'm losing my business. They said these people are out of control, and they had to evacuate. They had to evacuate the Capitol. Yet when 50 Secret Service agents were injured in front of the White House, they, of course, mock the president, who was whisked away by the Secret Service, not at his request, under his protest, down into the bunker. Oh, he's such a coward, he couldn't handle the fact that 50 Secret Service agents were injured in a melee right outside of the White House. He's a coward. But those in Michigan that couldn't handle the protesters outside of the Capitol, and so they suspended going into work, those people were reasonable, because the people outside that caused no damage, that there were no arrests made, weren't burning anything down, they had to run from them. They had to make sure, the media wanted to make sure that everybody knew those guys were bad guys and they're endangering everybody's health. But why is it I'm not hearing a damn thing about the coronavirus? Was this even true about the coronavirus? Oh my gosh, how dare you say that? Well, I'd like to know. Because you were telling everybody that they had to destroy their life savings. They had to destroy their dream of happiness. They had to destroy everything that they had built in their private business, but they were doing it as a sacrifice for everybody. But then you don't give a flying crap about people losing their businesses because of rioters. Let this black woman on the streets who is recording a video for social media, and she's addressing the Black Lives Matter and Antifa protesters directly. Listen.
Problem that bothers me, you says Black Lives Matter. I've worked here part-time. Plus, I'm a part owner of this store. You said Black Lives Matter. Why don't you choke me? I'm black.
Tell him, sister.
Look what you did to my store.
Tell him, sister.
Look what you did to my store.
Tell him, sister. That's right, because I got they back. These are my dudes right here. Good
Look
men.
at the things you done.
Good men.
Look.
The Black Lives Matter.
We've been here all night cleaning up. All night cleaning.
And you got black people standing right here with them. Black
Tell
people.
me
That's right.
Black Lives Matter.
Exactly.
You lied. You wanted to loot the store. You needed money. Get a job like I do. Stop stealing. This is the neighborhood. We're trying to build it up and you tearing it down.
You say it's about Black Lives That Matter, but you don't. You don't mean it. You don't mean it. You wouldn't have killed the 71-year-old former cop and former police chief in St. Louis for a television set. It has nothing to do with Black Lives Mattering. We agree with you on what happened in Minnesota. We agree that that cop should go to jail. We agree. Instantly. You didn't need to protest. We all were instantly with you. Justice. That's what you're fighting for? Well, then how come you're stealing televisions if you're fighting for justice? How come you're looting this woman's store? Destroying her chance of having her life bettered by her hard work. These governors and mayors, you're liars. When you put us all in our homes and said we had to do this for the safety of the public, and then you don't stop hundreds, if not thousands of people in your own damn cities looting. And yes, even though they are wearing a mask, they're not social distancing. To hell with you. You want to have some credibility? Then tell me, was the coronavirus real or not? Was all your draconian moves real or not? Because there seems to be a consistency problem.